Welcome to our Leaders by Head and Heart series. Today, we have the privilege to receive Leong from Singapore. Is a strategic advisor to companies, startups, and family offices. She is also a co-founder at Purpose Venture Capital, building tech ventures that deliver on the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Also co-founder of Mask for All Singapore, an advocacy movement 1 month before mask wearing became mandatory to help to reduce the spread of COVID-19 infections in Singapore in 2020. So as a former Singapore government director focusing on digital health and social sector development, can you please share some measures and action you have taken to reduce the impact of COVID in Singapore and within ASEAN countries? Thanks, Von.
Thank you, Loritra. So it's a pleasure to be here to share my story and, in fact, the story of my team. Um, as you know, COVID-19 has impacted a lot of people in a lot of countries. When I first came to know about COVID-19 back in early 2020, was actually through of my role in digital health. And I receive a lot of inquiries from abroad trying to source for personal protection equipment. In fact, my friends in Bristol and Boston were in a dire need as they were experiencing very short supply of gloves, masks, and gowns to support their frontliners and their volunteers. But when when Singapore was had the first infection in late January 2020 last year, it soon spread pretty fast, especially among the migrant workers in the dormitories. So a group of us who were in the health and social sector were extremely concerned about how fast the spread of COVID-19 was. And more importantly, by February, we seem to see a lot of research and evidence that the infections can be asymptomatic. Okay, so there was no symptoms showing, and yet they might be highly transmissible. At the time, nobody know what's going on. So we decided to start a movement called Mask for All Singapore to advocate the importance of mask wearing, encouraging Singaporeans to try to do that, even though it was not a cultural practice for us. And this was 1 month before it was made mandatory nationwide in April last year. And as you know, to reduce the risk of community spread for a probability at 0.4, we in fact have to make sure 100% mask availability to cover 100% population, and to reduce aerosol rate by 75%, we need to make sure that all the mask wearing is correct. This is why we specifically focus on educating the public on how to wear masks effectively by covering the nose and the mouth, and giving them ideas on how to get access to masks at the time when the supply was very slim, as well as how do you make mask, like the cloth mask, the reusable mask. And we were really focused on, because we were trying to complement Singapore's government's efforts, which you know they were very fast to distribute surgical masks as well as reusable masks starting from May. But before that, we were very concerned about very high risk groups like the isolated seniors and persons with disabilities. So we were very focused on distributing the masks to those high risk groups. And the movement has a very simple message for Singaporeans, is to mask up because you care, because we believe mask wearing is a way to show that you care about those around you. So we work with multiple partners from Lala Move, Potential, Contribute.sg, Mask Zone with Love, and we started to make and distribute about more than 650,000 masks to more than 100 charities with 90,000 beneficiaries. We even had run a social media campaign with the support of the Radio Singapore to mask up, stay safe. This was funded also by the Ministry of Committee of Culture and Youth Development, our Singapore Fund, where we also educate the smaller kids from age 2 to 12 at that time, even though at that time the old variant did not seem too transmissible to younger kids then. But we felt like we should be educating every single person in terms of correct mask wearing. As you know now, a lot of countries are experiencing the second or the third wave of COVID-19. So sadly, I think this will become an aspect of everyday life. So we are continuing to educate and encourage people to be prepared to continue to wear your mask in order to protect your friends, family, and the community. In fact, try to wear your mask in your everyday hygiene practices, even after the pandemic, as long as you feel unwell. So the education efforts did not stop. And sometimes we do have inquiries from charities, and we continue to distribute as per need arises.
Thanks, Von, for sharing this vision and mission of Mask for All Singapore. Now, the second question is more related to your quote. There is a power in purpose, people, and technology to change the world. Can you please share for the young generations and future leaders key ideas or inspiring stories from this statement? Thanks, Von.
Thanks. Well, my life and career has always been focused on people, like how to help people to find purpose in their vocations through my corporate and HR consulting work previously, or while I was a Singapore government director. In fact, this pandemic has clearly demonstrated to me I have experienced when a group of people come together for a common purpose or mission. Strangers can just band together and collaborate effectively, even remotely, right? Even during lockdown, right? Because when they put their brains together and use the technologies effectively, they could do things that we thought we couldn't do. Like for example, they could create, make, and deliver the masks, the gloves to others, despite the many challenges at the time. We have engineers who reach out to us offering 3D printing. We had mask wearing operations down to a T overnight by volunteers. And we use data mapping tools to find out where exactly our high risk groups are. Remember at that time, this kind of data was out of reach because we couldn't get in touch with some of these agencies when they have other priorities, right? So we use different tools from social media, data mapping to reach out to this high risk group so that we can actually deliver the mask and the gloves to these beneficiaries. And also through social media, we could reach out to sponsors like Lala Move, who agreed to help us to deliver the mask during the lockdown. As you know, the logistics providers were the only ones who had the access. So this, I'm extremely touched and inspired by what I had observed during the pandemic. In fact, this whole movement was actually inspired by a group of volunteers who first started sewing the cloth mask, despite at that time the government advised us to only wear masks when we are sick. So they went ahead and do something. So while we are complimenting the government's efforts, do not underestimate the power of people when they have a common purpose and they will band together and collaborate and drive towards a very specific outcome. So indeed, I do believe there is power in purpose, people, and technologies to make the world a better place.
Thanks, Von, for sharing this statement. And I do believe that you're right, that linking purpose, people, and technology can empower many things, especially nowadays. So we're already arriving at the end of this session. So I'm asking each guest speakers to pick 3 words of their choice and to explain them. Thanks, Von.
Okay, so when you asked me to pick up 3 words, the first thing that came to my mind was actually it would be 3 words plus 1. It would be my name, Von, V-O-N. Okay, so V stands for volition. Volition derives from the Latin word val, meaning to will. Is the act of making decisions at your own will. So decide what you wish to become and work towards it, and you can drive your volition. O stands for ownership, taking the responsibility of your life and learning from our mistakes and focus on making improvements for yourself, for your community, and for your country, and seizing the opportunities in front of us as we are responsible for our own lives, right? So N, it stands for network. It really takes a village to do almost anything, be it fundraising, starting a social movement, or building a tech venture. So find those who will believe in your mission, your purpose, and will help you to provide the resources and give you the support to help you to execute your idea. So go and build your network of partnerships, collaborators, and human resources. Plus one is have faith, not fear. Because when you have faith and fearless, you will inspire others and you will be inspired by the world. So go and make an impact today.
Thanks, Von. I do like the plus one words, which is faith, and I think that is one of the most powerful one to make things happen. I really again want to thanks for your time and also for this very interesting interview. And I wish you a nice day. Thank you, Von.
Thank you, Ravitra.